Well, my name's Adam Twigg. I facilitate the Pyramid Hill Farming for Sustainable Soils group. Done it for 3 years now. I'm off a family farm in the area of fourth, fifth generation, something like that. And yeah, I'm a cropping and sheep farm.
Hi, my name is Meryn Ibsen and I'm the facilitator for the Timor West Farming for Sustainable Soils group. I've been in the Timor West area for near on 12 years. I've been in agriculture and lived on farms my whole life. I studied at the University of Melbourne at Dookie campus, and I've now married a farmer at Timor West, and we farm together. We've got a broadacre farm with crops, sheep and a few cattle.
My name is Craig Cossar. I'm a group facilitator for the Wycheproof and Glenloth East area. Originally from Wycheproof, I reside in Strathwellsay near Bendigo. So I've still got land up at Wycheproof, an ex-farmer up at Wycheproof, and I came down and worked at the CMA for a couple of years.
Well, the Timor West farming community, it's generally a mixed agricultural area, and when I say that, it's probably broadacre, so cereal, pulse and oilseed crops, some hay, yeah, and the most dominant stock classification would be merino sheep, but there's also prime lamb production and there'd be a smaller amounts of horticulture and that type of thing within the area, and it's generally dry land too.
We've got a big area as well. It takes in a big area, but we've got everything from probably cropping and sheep are the two biggest things in the area, but there's also a pretty good dairy sector. There's some piggeries, there's a bit of horticulture, not a huge amount, but there's an apple orchard and a few things like that in the area, but and it's irrigation as well, so a large area of it is, so yeah, so it's a fair variety of enterprises, yeah.
The farming community up at the Wycheproof, Glenloth East area are mainly mixed farmers, dry land farmers. There is the Glenloth East, on the east side of the Glenloth East, there is some irrigation, but most of them are dry land, so they're cropping livestock farmers. The rainfall's around about that 340 to 370 mil a year, and the soils are that loamy sort of cracking clays, and there is a bit of hard red duplex soils through some of that country, which we have a few problems with.
We've got a huge variation in our soil type, but generally they form from a granite sort of sub-base, but generally a shallower topsoil, sandier topsoil, and heavier clay underneath. But I suppose the general constraints are, from a farming perspective, is that some of our soils are more marginal.
So soil health issue that we deal with is, well, the big one in our area has been salt. We've been the salt capital of Victoria for a long time. That has improved over the last probably 20 years. A range of different things have helped, but it is still an issue. So it's probably still the number one thing of concern, but we also have issue with shallow root zone. So we had pits done with the start of the group, and from that we found that most of the area has only got a rooting zone between sort of 30 to 60 or 70 centimetres, and below that there's a range of either salt or calcium carbonate layers or gypsum layers, high pH zones that the roots just can't access. So yeah, some of those are the big things we're dealing with, I think.
Originally, there was, going back into the 70s and 80s, there was a lot of soils that were blowing, and now with a few better techniques, we've been able to cater for some of that, and we're keeping more ground cover with direct drilling. Probably our biggest soil problem we've identified is our hard red duplex soils, which hard pan. With a soil test, they actually come up being pretty good, as in result wise. But for some unknown reason, there's a hard pan that runs through that, and a lot of the cropping guys have a lot of trouble penetrating, or the roots penetrating through that sort of soils. So we've done some deep ripping trials, and we've also investigated into tillage radish now, into that sort of soils to break up some of that hard pan.
The community-driven approach of the Farming for Sustainable Soils project it means that it's demand-driven by the people that are familiar with their area. And so the fact that the ideas aren't being pushed on the group, as in they can focus on what's most important or concerning to them, and with that momentum and passion and ownership of those things, they become more involved and self-driven.
It's not us telling them what they should know, it's them telling us what they want to know. And I think that's one of the biggest success of the whole program is the fact that we actually personally go out on people's farms, dig holes, and we actually look firsthand of what there is there, what the soil characteristics are, and there's not many people actually doing that, and as a group doing that, you actually learn a lot.
What's another benefit? Social benefit. Just getting people together every now and then is probably a good thing, I think. You know, there's people that are sort of becoming friends out of it that never used to have a lot to do with each other, and sharing ideas is probably a huge thing.
And they go down to the pub or go to the football match and they can actually discuss certain topics. And I found that more of a community-based approach really good.
The most rewarding thing about being a community facilitator is actually working with a community on a project that's really important to them, and watching not only the environmental and the farming aspect of it, but also the social impact that such a project has. And I think that's the thing, it's been reciprocal. Not only is it good for the group, it's been really good for me and as a person as well. So that's been so positive. I feel like I'm more part of the community because of that.
What I've got out of being a facilitator, well, I'd say I've probably gained the most out of anyone in the group, because I've got the farm to take all this stuff back to. So I've had to go to everything that we've put on. I can't miss a thing here and there. So I've got to hear all the experts, see all the pits, be involved in all the trials. So for the farm wise, I've gained greatly. I've got to see a lot of different things, and so it's got me changing the way I'm doing quite a few different things and trying different ideas now. So personally, that's what I've gained the most out of it.
In regards to examples of our trials and our results, there's a great one for a start, and I reckon it's an absolute pearler. We had a guy a local distinguished landholder who's been on council and has done a lot for the community. And we had a soil scientist on his place digging a soil pit, and he looked down at Christian Bannon, this particular gentleman, and he says, "Christian, I've been farming for 70 years and no one has ever come on my place and dug a hole and explained to me what I've got in my soils and what's below, down to a metre, and where the hostile soils run." He said, "I've learnt more than I have in the last 10 years about my place." So that to me was a great outcome straight away, and it got me really interested in the fact that here's someone that's been farming for 70 years, and then finally someone's come and told him what's actually underneath his ground.